Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you for joining me. My name is Derrick, everybody's favorite Prodigal Bastard. And this is addictMMA Live, right here on YouTube, Sunday night. This is kind of like a Fallout conversation. This is the aftermath. Let us just not even talk about what's next. We can, but let's just talk about how fucking exciting UFC 262 was last night. Now, for me, first and foremost, the phone number you see behind me, that's the phone line. If you'd like to call in and participate in this program, call this phone number. Would like to say real quick, first of all, last night, again, it was one of those events that you are glad you paid for, you know, because, I mean, the UFC puts on so many events anymore that it's very difficult to gauge which one you should pay for and which one you should not. And last night was the one you should have fucking watched live. And thank God we're able to get a capacity crowd back into a stadium or an arena to watch these fights, because there's nothing at all like the emotion and energy that is inherent, it is captured, it is obvious when you're watching a live event and you hear the roar of the crowd and all the emotion that comes with it. It makes a fight event better. And for me, last night, listen, I'm not gonna lie to you, I sat right here at home with my beautiful girlfriend, and we ordered the fight and had some drinks, ate a piece of steak, barely even ate all the steak. I ate a lot of stuff last night. I was feasting. I had steak, I had avocados, I had scalloped cheesy potatoes, vagina, I had fucking chips, I had all kinds of stuff, along with I was drinking vodka pretty much all night. And listen, I'm about to be 40 years old here pretty soon, so I'm going to be honest with you, man. I felt like I partied my ass off last night just sitting at home with my girlfriend. And I felt like I was 20 years old, and I was out there doing acid and shit. Like, I woke up with the biggest hangover ever today. And I didn't even drink more than I would ever drink on a Saturday night anyway. But I did. I felt hungover today. It was ridiculous. Like, I don't even want to be here right now. I don't want to talk to any of you motherfuckers, because I would really just rather be in bed with my girlfriend, because I'm fucking hungover still. But, you know, that's what they say about hair of the dog. So, join me. Pull up a chair. Pull up your phone. I've got a phone line open. That's the phone number right behind me. 941-962-1316. I'm going live tonight to talk to you. Well, really, I just want to share with you my excitement for UFC 262 and everything that happened last night. Maybe not everything, because that was a lot of shit to cover. But let me take a sip. At any point, if you feel like you'd like to make a phone call, talk to me live on air right now about anything I'm talking about, call that phone number. Also, comment section is open, should be anyway. Leave comments if you're available. Listen, I'm having a hard time figuring this goddamn technology stuff out. I think I'm pretty sure I've got the comment section open, but go ahead and call that phone number if you'd like to participate today with me live. I would like to start things out by talking about, alright, so, not even the main card, but Jacare Souza, an OG of the sport. Somebody that I have been a fan of for many years. He's been at Strikeforce. He has done wonderful things for himself outside of the UFC. He's made a legendary name for himself. But he's rounding those years. He's in his 40s. And at this time of your life, listen, man, your body just doesn't respond like it used to. And Muniz last night, the last fight of the prelims before the main card, he broke Jacare Souza's forearm. Like, just pop. Like, you fucking heard it, dude. That shit, he had him. It wasn't an arm bar. I really liked the submission move that Muniz had on Jacare. And now you've got to keep in mind that Jacare Souza is known for being a fucking great ground fighter. He's wonderful. He is awesome at jiu-jitsu. However, last night, new guard rises, old guard steps down. Jacare Souza, and here's the funny part. Nobody's talking about Muniz and his performance. they're all talking about, and so am I, we're all talking about, goddamn, how tough the OGs are. And that's a good thing. I mean, listen, you can't always be the best, you can't always be the champ, and eventually the human body tells you, like, I can't do this shit anymore. Stop doing it. You know, for people that abuse their bodies their whole lives, eventually the body wants to shut itself down, whether you like it or not. So, that's not necessarily what happened to Jacare Souza. However, listen, man, new guard. The kids these days, the young guys these days in this sport, man, the sport is evolving in such a crazy and rapido-paced type of way. That last night, your boy got an armbar. Muniz pulled kind of a variation of an armbar on Jacare Souza, and it ended up snapping his forearm in half, like on the video. And I'm sure you could find it on YouTube, or you can find it on your Facebook or Instagram. There's videos circulating everywhere. Just look up Jacare Souza arm break, and it just went pop, you know. And here's the fun part. This is what everybody's talking about. Jacare Souza didn't flinch. He didn't flinch. His arm broke in half. Pop! It didn't pop out of the skin or nothing, like the bone didn't pop out of the skin. But it went. And all he did was go, oh, fuck. Like, that's a Terminator. That's a goddamn fighting machine. A warrior. A Viking, or whatever you want to call it, man. That's a tribal fucking warrior right there. Like, his arm broke, and he was more disappointed than he was in pain. And even after the fight, he's hugging his opponent, Muniz, and he's telling him, oh, it's cool, no big deal. Hey, man, that's the fight. That's what we're here to do. So, you know, hats off to Jacare Souza, a true warrior and OG of MMA. So, to move along into the main card, and again, if you'd like to participate in the program this evening, if you'd like to talk to me about anything I'm talking about, you could just call this phone number here right behind me, 941-962-1316. I am Derrick, the Prodigal Bastard, and this is addictMMA, the official addictMMA, because there's nobody else, baby. I'm the only one that can do it this fucking good. So, let's go ahead and talk about the shit that happened on the main card. I want to start off with the first fight, Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos. Now, based on my previous video that I posted earlier this week, I had talked about fight predictions, and I gave my predictions. Now, for the UFC 262, I went 3-2. I won 3 fights out of 5. I lost the first 2. And I couldn't be more satisfied with the first loss on my record, you know, with this uprise that I am doing. And listen, we're all going to take losses in our life. You can't be upset about it. You just have to learn from it. But there was nothing you can learn. Well, maybe there is. But there's really not a lot to learn from what happened to Shane Burgos last night. Maybe it's a brain thing. We can learn more intellectually about what happens to the human brain. Maybe that's the conversation we should be having about that fight. Because if you didn't see it, please, you got to go to the internet and check that shit out. I'm not going to show it to you here on the screen because I don't want, copyright infringements, things like that. I'm here to talk. I don't know what I can get away with. So, but you got to look it out. Edson Barboza versus Shane Burgos. If you watch my previous prediction video, you'll find that I picked Shane Burgos to win. I picked Shane Burgos to win, but I knew how tough of a fight it was going to be, and everybody knew that it was going to be a war. However, I underestimated the ability of fucking Edson Barboza and his kicks, of all things. The kicks, what everybody knows him for, I underestimated it and thought that it wasn't going to work for him. And it did, tremendously. It absolutely fucking worked. Now, granted, it was a fucking back and forth brawl. It was a technical kickboxing brawl, which is kind of, paradox in itself. Technical and a brawl doesn't really work together, but it just fucking was. You're talking about 2 dudes who are just technically sound all the way around who decided to brawl with each other. That makes for a technically sound brawl. right? Ah, I got you. Well, I knew 30 seconds into the first round that this fight was going to go either way. I mean, I think we all knew that anyway, but I picked Shane Burgos, so of course my emotions dictate that I want him to fucking win. And let me tell you that he didn't. He didn't. But I'm not upset about it because we saw something that we've never fucking seen before. And that is the delayed reaction knockout. Now, they were coming to the end of the fight. It was close. It was third round type stuff. And Edson Barboza just put on a fucking two-piece. Boom, boom. Just a quick little, nothing, no huge power. It was just precise striking, short, tight hooks. But you got to understand something, though, people. Especially for the casual fan. I don't have to tell my athletic fighter friends any of this shit. But for the casual fan, you have to understand something. On TV, you like to see a guy wind up, you know? Because to you, that looks like power. But really, where the real power comes from, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but where the real knockout strength comes from is just fundamentals. It's right here. Chuck Liddell used to say it all the time. I'm not trying to knock you out. I just know I eventually will. And I'm just going to keep throwing punches. Think about fighters like Nate and Nick Diaz. Guys like that. Think about who I'm going to talk about here in a second, Katlyn Chukagian, who throws volume strikes. Now, Katlyn's a bad example for what I'm saying because she don't fucking knock anybody out, but we'll get to that in a second. Shane Burgos and Edson Barboza went fucking just Viking warrior, head-to-head, toe-to-toe, just goddamn everything they had. Baby, they were throwing it at each other, man. And it was sick. The best way to start out a fight card. I loved it. I kind of predicted that. However, I didn't, nobody could predict the two-piece pop that you would think wouldn't knock a dude out. Because he took it, boop, boop. But that one hit the temple. Shane Burgos took those two-piece. He took that two-piece, pop. And he went, okay. And he went to start fighting again. And have you ever stood up too quick? Have you ever been like kneeling down to like pull some weeds, or you're picking up some garbage off your fucking kitchen floor or something, and you stand up too quick, and then all of a sudden your brain goes black and you start fucking falling out and shit? Has that ever happened to you? Because that's what happened to Shane Burgos last night after the two-piece Edson Barboza fed him. Like, literally, it was like, it had to have been like, it felt like an eternity, but it probably was more like 3 or 4 seconds. But that's a fucking long time in the fight world, in the fight game. So he got the two-piece without the biscuit, and then just was like, okay, I'm still hungry. And just fucking fell out, man. Just collapsed, ran backwards. You could see it in slow motion in his eyes. You could see it. That he was just... The best way to describe being knocked out, in my experience, is to describe it to you like this. If you've ever seen the movie Snatch, a Guy Ritchie film, directed by Guy Ritchie, at one point in time was married to Madonna. For all those of you have no idea who the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm just going to give you an idea. Guy Ritchie directs the greatest... He's like the Quentin Tarantino of England, but makes better action movies. And in Snatch, a legendary film, Brad Pitt plays a gypsy piker, and he's in an unlicensed boxing match at the end of the movie. Well, throughout the movie he does this, but at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, this is what I'm trying to tell you, what it feels like to be knocked out. Brad Pitt gets hit, and the way the scene is directed, Guy Ritchie has Brad Pitt being, like, you could see him falling to the canvas, but once he hits the canvas, the direction of the movie, the film goes as Brad Pitt's falling back down into the water, like he just dropped into a big sea of black water, like there's no light. Remember the movie Get Out, when your boy was hypnotized and he felt like he sank into the chair and he was down in the depths of the ocean, the black deep sea, trying to get back up to himself. He could see himself, but he could not control himself. That's what it feels like to get knocked out. And that's what we saw go through the eyes of Shane Burgos last night. That was absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen that. I'm going to put out a couple of videos this week to show you my reactions to some of these fights because it was just absolutely insane. But I lost that prediction, and that's okay. Not a big deal. You'll have to excuse me as I try to maintain more things than once. But yeah, the first fight started the whole show is exactly perfect as it should. I mean, I can't even tell you. I can't even tell you. It was just amazing. I've never seen that before. So, moving on. What's next for Shane Burgos? Anything's next for him. Like, look, this guy just showed himself to be awesome. The issue is the way he was knocked out did make the UFC brass a little bit nervous, and they sent him directly to the hospital. Dana White said, no, you're going to the hospital. I don't care what you think you feel like. You're going to the hospital right now. So Shane Burgos will probably be out for a few months. Off of that kind of a brain injury, usually what the doctors will do is they'll schedule at least a 60 to 90 day suspension just to get your brain right again, because nowadays with this sport and how brutal it can be, the doctors, the whole association, all of the powers that manage this thing, first and foremost, they don't want guys ending up like NFL football players, with the CTE and stuff. And we know it's going to end up happening. We've seen what happens to boxers. Muhammad Ali is the best example of all time for what happens when you get hit in the head too much. So Shane Burgos will be going to the hospital. If anybody's commenting, I actually can't see it because I'm still working out the kinks on how I can see things versus how I am producing things. So check out the phone number behind me if you'd like to give me a phone call, and we can talk about this fight matter. Call the phone number right there on the screen behind me, 941-962-1316, and we'll talk, man. So moving on, let us get into the second fight. And I'm going to be honest with you. I said that was going to be the most boring fight of the night. And I wasn't 100% incorrect, but I wasn't really correct either, though. I know, that's what the fuck are you saying, right? Like, how are you not correct but still correct? It was exactly what I thought it would be. It just was a little bit more eventful than I thought it would be. I disagree with the judge's decision. Katlyn Chookagian took a unanimous decision, which I disagree with. For me, it seemed like, okay, so Katlyn Chookagian did very well to work that jab. Pop, 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 pop. She just, fundamentals. Again, the key behind UFC 262, what I took from it, is the keyword fundamentals. That's what you need to take from this. Katlyn Chookagian got a victory. Why? Because of that fucking jab, dude. Because that girl did not deviate from her game plan. That girl did not deviate from her skill set. And her skill set is built on fundamentals. Now, I did say in my video, on paper, she should win. I picked Viviane Araujo. I did that based on Viviane's very aggressive boxing nature versus her ability to use that boxing, psych you out, and dump a double leg. Unfortunately, that didn't work in the long run for Viviane. It did work at first. Unfortunately, though, Viviane learned the very cruel nature of this sport that every fighter has to learn, and that is the cardio machine. Listen, dude, you can be a great wrestler. You can be a great striker. You can be great at anything you do. But if you can't fucking breathe, you can't fucking fight. Period. Fundamentals. Cardio. The jab. We learned both of those in the Katlyn Chookagian Viviane Araujo fight. Viviane won. Viviane lost. Katlyn won. Why? In my opinion, Viviane won the first round. she started fading in the second. She did. I felt like it was kind of even second, and Catlin took the third. Catlin won the third by dominantly keeping the jab and just keeping a tired Viviane at bay. You can't get in if you can't fucking get past my jab. Catlin wins, and good on her, man. She gets to step up and fight fucking for a belt soon, which she's not going to win, but yay for her. But I lost that fight too because I picked Viviane. Viviane needs to work on her cardio a little bit better. If you're going to have that kind of explosive nature, if you're going to have that kind of power and use it, you have to be able to use it properly. Like Michael Chandler. But we'll get into that later. So I disagree with the judge's decision. I would have called that. I would have called it a split decision. It could have gone either way. To be honest with you, it could have gone either way. I was telling my girlfriend, I said, look, they're going to give it to Catlin Chukagian, but it's probably going to be a split decision. But I think it should be a split decision for Viviane Araujo. But Catlin Chukagian got a goddamn unanimous decision. So whatever, fine. I'm not a judge. I don't know how they do their job, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to anyway. You got to imagine these fucking guys sit around and they got to click every strike that happens, every punch, every jab, every feint, every psych out, every fucking whatever. They have to click that shit in and log it in for us so that we know what the stats are. That's a tough goddamn job. So, as much as we like to talk shit about the judges, just understand that that's a really fucking tough job. So, I still don't like the judging system, or the scoring system in MMA. Nobody does, but, you know, we're getting there. We're getting better at it. But Catlin Chukagian, her dominant performance in that third round is what won her that fight, and I'm fine with it. Because Viviane Araujo is definitely not going to move up for a title fight and win it. Not right now. She's got a lot to learn still. She's new. She's green. This was a good loss for her because she didn't lose to a slack. She lost to one of the top. So, this is good. It's not bad. Losses aren't always bad. Sometimes losses are fucking good, man. Anyway, moving on to the third fight. We had Matt Schnell. He took on Rogerio Bontorin. And I predicted Bontorin for the win. And again, if you'd like to call in, this is the phone number. Now, of course, if you're watching this and it's not live, calling in is not going to help you. But go ahead and send that phone number a text if I'm not live and you just want to say something that I should talk about. Maybe you got an idea. Or maybe you'd like to be a part of the program sometime and you think I should know about that. I mean, listen, unless you're a goddamn fighter, I'm not going to let you on the program. But this is the number to get a hold of. This is the business line. This is the hotline. So get a hold of it. No big deal. Call it right now. We'll talk. It's all good. I picked Rogerio Bontorin to win that fight. And it basically went as I expected. Both guys so well versed on the ground. So high up ground level jiu-jitsu. You know, purple belt, black belt. I mean, it's just... Like I said, a lot of the times when you get two guys like that have the same type of fucking ability in that one area, they're going to turn to the next thing and hope it's going to be a stand-up fight. They're going to hope that they win by knockout. And these two delivered, man. They fucking delivered. They delivered. They fought their asses off. Rogerio Bontorin ends up with the win. It was a decision. No big deal. But that was a win for me. I don't care how it happens. If I predict it and it happens, I'm happy. So Rogerio Bontorin gets the victory over Matt Schnell. And as exciting as that fight was, still not the most boring fight of the night. Moving on to the co-main event, the most boring fight of the night was, actually, for people that don't like grappling, I would say it was the Tony Ferguson-Beneil Dariush fight, which to me was not boring at all. But I just know a lot of you idiots out there, you don't fucking like the grappling game, you like to talk crap about, oh, we got dudes hugging on each other, we fucking want to watch that. Until you had somebody fucking full mount you and choke you out, or punch you right in the head with fists or elbows, don't you talk shit. There is nothing more grueling, nothing more humbling than being forced into a position you don't want to be in and being pummeled and having no escape, having no power or ability or knowledge of how to escape. And then your brain starts freaking out and you get frantic and you don't know what to do. Let me tell you something, dude. Any of you idiots that have never fought before, I'm not a fighter. I'm not a great fighter. I've trained with a lot of dudes. I've learned some shit over the last 15 years of my life. I guarantee you, if you've never done it before, I will show you why it's not a joke without actually hurting you, but I will definitely make you tired. Grappling is a real thing. So for anybody that doesn't like it, I give you a big middle finger, because you got to have respect for the fight. And this sport is evolving in such a way that it's mixed martial arts. It's not kickboxing. It's not Muay Thai. It's not boxing. It's a fucking fight. And in the streets, idiots, most fights end up on the ground anyway, because a lot of you morons don't know how to throw punches, and then you end up just hugging and making out with each other and fall to the ground anyway, and then you roll around and throw punches at the air. Ground games are great. So, as I said, the Beneil Dariush, Tony Ferguson fight, to you, the casual fan, might have been boring, the most boring fight of the night. But to me, it was a goddamn clinic. It was a seminar on how to fucking dominate a human. It was perfect. And I know that the crowd last night at UFC 262, they booed Beneil Dariush, and they were that crowd, that capacity crowd was all the way behind Tony Ferguson. But unfortunately, as I predicted, Tony Ferguson, old guard, moving out. Beneil Dariush, new guard, moving in. I think it was Daniel Cormier last night during the commentary that said it. I think it was Daniel Cormier. Definitely wasn't John Anik. That guy with his fucking wannabe Tom Selleck mustache. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But Daniel Cormier, I think he said it best when he said, Tony Ferguson has made a career out of doing big, huge, flashy shit, right? But now he's a 37 going on 38-year-old man. Your body starts to wear down, folks. It does. None of us are immortal, no matter how much we want to think we are. And if we are, we're definitely not invincible. You might live forever, but you might be a geriatric while you're doing it. But it was said best last night. Tony Ferguson has had a career of success based on his flashy fighting nature. And that probably kind of induced his mind to believe that he didn't actually have to work on just regular fundamentals. Back to Katlinchuk again. The jab. I know, right? Nobody wants to see a jab. It's boring. We want to see these big old haymakers and these fucking punches, and we want to see people get knocked the fuck out. However, it's the punch you don't see coming that knocks you out. It's not necessarily the big old haymaker that does it, because how many times have you watched a fighter injure themselves through overextending or wear themselves out through throwing these punches that aren't going to land? You can see that shit coming a mile away. Even on this video, I'm sure it's a bad translation to how I'm throwing punches. You can't really see it. But I'm telling you, you see it coming. You see me winding up, right? You know how to dodge that. Under, over, whatever. Get out of the way, right? But, and we're going to work into this as we get into the main event talk, it's those little short fucking punches, man. It's the pop, pop, pop. Volume and fundamentals. So, Tony Ferguson hasn't had to train fundamentals because he's been given the opportunity based on his own success to not have to think that way. Perhaps we can call that an ego problem. I don't know. I would say maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I mean, Tony Ferguson's a great guy I don't know, but from what I understand, he's a very nice fellow. But still, arrogance can get a hold of any one of us at any time. It's gotten a hold of me several times, and I'm not even successful. I mean, I know less or a little bit more successful people than me that still have ego issues, like my fucking former co-host. Like, that's, yeah. Ego will destroy you. It'll destroy your wife and life and family and all that stuff. It'll destroy everything. You can't have an ego. You got to be humble. You got to appreciate the people that love you. And you got to be good. But anyway, that's a digression. Beneil Dariush absolutely dominated Tony Ferguson on the ground. Landed a lot of ground shots, but what was the best part of the fight was at that one moment where Tony Ferguson kind of scrambled out from underneath and then got to a top dominant position, and Beneil Dariush immediately used that position to get himself into a goddamn heel hook position. Bro, he had a heel hook on Tony Ferguson. They said, I heard his knee pop, I heard his heel pop, I heard it all pop. He should have tapped out. Nobody knows how he didn't tap out. Tony Ferguson just won't tap out. Tony Ferguson's the type of dude that would rather you break his whole body apart and take half of it home with you before he ever gives you the satisfaction of knowing that he said he quits. And he didn't quit last night. No, sir. Or ma'am. What he did was, and you can see it, you can probably look that up on the internet too. You can watch it. The facial expression out of Tony Ferguson was absolutely ridiculous, and it made you feel bad. You could see the moment that heel hook was wrapped tight by Beneil Dariush, you could see that Tony Ferguson, he's screaming, and he starts throwing those fucking, like, he starts kicking with his body. I can't really translate it in the video here, but, I mean, just the defense. I mean, listen, Tony Ferguson is a goddamn machine. He's a, what did Beneil say? Beneil Dariush said he's a fucking zombie, that guy. Like, he literally just doesn't stop. His face was in pain, and then immediately went, I'm fighting. That's a goddamn warrior. I hope to see Tony Ferguson get another shot in the UFC. Of course, they're not going to cancel him right now. I wouldn't believe that they will. I haven't seen or read anything yet. But I believe after that performance, you know, obviously Tony Ferguson's going to have his leg or, you know, whatever checked out. And he'll have a layoff, a medical suspension. But I'm pretty sure we'll get at least one more fight in the UFC out of Tony Ferguson before they decide to cut him. And I believe that that's justified because, I mean, fucking Tyron Woodley, the moment he won a championship, he stopped fighting people. Like, I don't have to fight anymore. I'm just going to hold the belt, cry that everything's racist, and then, you know, I'm going to tell everybody I'm the greatest. Like, I'm sorry, I really, really used to be a big fan of Tyron Woodley. I used to be. But when he won that gold strap, man, he really showed you what a fighter could do self-destructively on his own. Like, Tyron Woodley literally just gave up after he won the belt and was just collecting paycheck after paycheck until somebody actually beat him. And thank God it happened, because those were the worst and boring welterweight championship fights I've ever seen in my fucking life. But I digress. Moving on to the main event. Oh, by the way, before I move on to the main event, Beneil Dariush did have a call-out. And that call-out was to Elon Musk. And Elon Musk delivered. Now, if you check out my social media, Prodigal Bastard 941 on Instagram, Derrick Alford on Facebook, you'll see the stories that I've shared, you know, from last night's event. Beneil Dariush, in his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan, called out one of Joe Rogan's podcast interviewees, Elon Musk. And he told him, hey, Elon, I ordered a car like back in December. Where the hell's my car? So I didn't know you can order Teslas online. I guess once you got that kind of, when you got UFC money, you can do that. I can't wait till I have enough money to buy a Tesla one day, because Elon Musk said that that's a super fun machine and not even really a car. And that's what I would like to achieve one day. I would like to achieve owning one of Elon Musk's machines, because I'm a huge fucking fan of Elon Musk. And the class act that Elon is, and a fight fan also, he saw what happened, and he tweeted out almost immediately that Beneil Dariush's car will be on the way. So, Beneil gets his car, and I'll bet you Elon throws a couple of good little fucking tweaks in the system for him, and makes it an even more super fun machine, because that's the kind of dude that Elon Musk is, and, you know, fuck it. Dariush, of course, if he already ordered it 6 months ago, then he deserves bells and whistles, baby. So that's a very cool thing. It was something I took away from the event. I thought it was funny. I liked it. Moving on. The main event. The main event was something else. I got to tell you. Charles do Bronx Oliveira. Listen, I'm always going to say names wrong. I don't care if you don't like it. I'll get better at it. But I remember when he was Charles Cowboy Oliveira. And now everybody's calling him do Bronx Oliveira. So I don't know which way to say it. I guess whichever way is popular, right, at the time. I watched Charles Oliveira last night do exactly what I knew he was going to do. Oh my God, though. In that first round, especially towards the end of that first round, I thought he was fucking finished, man. I mean, how tough are you, dude? Michael Chandler did exactly as I thought he would do. And he came in stiff and powerful, and he was throwing these goddamn hooks like he was throwing like Mike Tyson trying to take a motherfucker's head off, dude. And that's what got him beat. Fundamentals. Michael Chandler's fundamentals are wrestling and big power hooks. Charles Oliveira is jiu-jitsu and precision striking. And it worked. They both tested their ground abilities against each other. And what we found is that Michael Chandler, with his power in the first round, what happened in the first round, if you didn't see the fight, Charles Oliveira took Michael Chandler down after eating a good punch that maybe hurt him a little bit. He took Michael Chandler down and was able to work a ground game. Got the body triangle on the back. From the back, he was working a choke. Michael Chandler jumped up, slammed backwards down, tried to break the hold, but Charles Oliveira would not let it go. I mean, what really got me, what really made me afraid for do Bronx was when Michael Chandler escaped up from the ground, but he didn't do it with actual technique. He did it with sheer explosion and core power. And that is a scary thing to have to fight against. And when he did that, he got back to his feet. Then they had to exchange again, at which point he rocked Oliveira again and was hitting him in the head while Oliveira was on all fours on the ground, working for another takedown, whatever. Then Michael Chandler ends the first round trying to strike from the ground up, ground and pound. Trying to do ground and pound from the top position, standing top position. The only problem is, it looks cool to see a guy throwing a lot of punches, but when you watch the fight, you realize a lot of those punches didn't actually land. A couple of them did. But it just looks brutal. So, the round ends. And immediately at the second round, Charles do Bronx Oliveira, the cowboy, comes out, and Michael Chandler, he's ready because he smells blood. He tastes blood in the water, man, like a fucking shark, dude. It's in his gills at this point. He's like, I gotta have that shit. And he comes at him, but with those same tight to the... Now, Michael Chandler's hooks, there's nothing really wrong with them at all. I cannot critique them at all. Even though I say he's stiff and throws too much power, a lot of power all the time, what I mean to say is that will leave you open when you leave yourself wide. But Michael Chandler has a very good way of keeping them hooks tight, which is actually how you generate power. It's feet to the earth. It's feet to the earth, generated hips and ass, twist that sumbitch, elbow to body, and boom! Just watch old Mike Tyson videos. You'll figure it out. But I'm telling you, hooks like this, they're not going to knock anybody out, and they're going to tear tendons in your arms. You're going to be all fucked up. But the way Michael Chandler threw them hooks, boom, boom, that's the way to do it. Unfortunately for him, Charles do Bronx Oliveira was able to just throw these little tight fucking hooks inside of these. So even though you're tight to the body still and throwing these, you still have to extend a little bit. And Oliveira was able to close enough distance to get inside and just hit a proper left hook that caught old Michael Chandler right on the jaw. Just enough to rattle the brain and make you feel like I talked about earlier when you're down deep in the water and you can see your body but you can't get to it. And then he got up and just Oliveira from there just elbows, knees, and chased him down. Boom, boom, boom. But what won that fight? Fundamentals. That's what won that fight. And Oliveira stuck to it. And it was fucking great. And I was elated. I was screaming. If you've seen my social media, you'll see that I was very hyped up. Like I said, I had a feast. I was drinking that. Last night I was having a great time here at home with my girlfriend. She fell asleep before the fights, before the last two fights even came on, cussing me out to quit yelling so loud. Like, come on, man. We're watching fights. We're going to yell loud. She doesn't even remember it. She's such a great woman. She doesn't even remember it, though. She was so tired. She works her ass off, and she takes care of an entire family. So I don't blame her for being a little shitty while she's sleeping. I mean, if you're anything like me, and you're sleeping, and somebody goes to poking at you, you're probably going to fucking... You're going to bite at them, you know what I mean? You're going to... So, hey, listen, I'm just lucky I didn't draw back a nub last night, you know what I mean? But... hey, man, all around, what a great night of fights. We got a lot to look forward to. Conor McGregor is already trying to insert himself back into the lightweight title picture, which... oh, listen, Conor McGregor, go drink more of your piss whiskey. The ammonia flavour is subtle when you've put a little bit of honey on it to make it go down smoother. Yeah, listen, proper nothing. It's overpriced piss. It's ammonia in a bottle with a touch of honey. And that's good because he's making millions of dollars off it, so I really can't hate on him. And because of that motherfucker, a lot of other fighters are getting bigger paydays. But to think that he thinks he's in the title picture right now, listen, he's got to get past Dustin Poirier in July. And that's a tall order for Conor McGregor, especially when he's on the decline of his hype train. And we all know where hype trains go once they finish their tour. So, that's it for tonight, folks. I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you watch this on a replay, feel free to comment. If you did comment while I was watching, I'm still having a hard time understanding how to see everything on this computer screen. It's a work in progress, but nobody wanted to call the phone line tonight, and that's fine because the next time I go up live, there it'll be. So, if you catch this on a replay and you see this phone line, don't call it because you won't get an answer. The phone line is turned off when I'm not live. But go ahead and shoot me a text. And if you got ideas for content, you want to fucking participate, whatever. I don't give a shit. You see this number on the screen? Abuse that son of a bitch. Let's build this thing. Come on, man. We all love local businesses, right? A lot of you people that are watching right now, you're my friends. And I always support you. So, support addictMMA. And thank you for joining me tonight. Of course, my name is Derrick, the Prodigal Bastard. Everybody's favorite bastard. I don't know when I'll be back on again live. I'll do it impromptu. I know I'll be putting out some content tomorrow. It may be recorded, may not. Maybe live. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I do what I want. So, thank you for joining me on this video. If you've watched it, I appreciate it. Go ahead and leave a comment. Click subscribe, and then hit that little notification bell so that you're always reminded when I put out new content or if I go live. I mean, I go live for no reason pretty much whenever the fuck I want. So, again, like I said, thank you for joining me for this video. Derrick, Prodigal Bastard, excuse me, Derrick Alford on Facebook, at Prodigal Bastard 941 on Instagram, addictMMA 941 on Twitter. Talk to you soon.